Hello and welcome to the Clint Initiative podcast. What is the Clint Initiative? The Clint Initiative is a multi-phase project to create entertainment here in Minnesota and to distribute that entertainment to the world, starting with this podcast. This podcast is the seed from which everything else will grow. The Clint Initiative is about great music. The Clint Initiative is about great live entertainment. The Clint Initiative is about a sketch show. The Clint Initiative is all about filmed content. If you want to know how to do a podcast, listen to the Clint Initiative. If you want to know how to do an album, how to find musicians, how to get it recorded, listen to the Clint Initiative. If you want to know how to create more content over a short period of time, you're listening to the Clint Initiative and we will help you get there. If you are ready to create, if you're ready to talk about creating, if you're ready to be about it and get it done, we want to talk to you. This is the Clint Initiative. My name is Paul and my co-hosts are Katie, Clint, and Jamel. We are the Clint Initiative. If you are interested in creating content, if you're interested in creating movies, music, television, films, short films, and feature films, then we want to talk to you. We want to have you on the show. Email us at TheClintPodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. And now, back to the show. We are always working to give you a little more. We are always working. Give you a little more. We are always working to give you a little more. We are always working to give you a little more. What are we doing? We're throwing it at the wall. We are throwing it at the wall. We're throwing it at the wall. We are throwing it at the wall. We're throwing it at the wall. We are throwing it at the wall to see the stick. Come on, what are we doing? Sarala alaped, estamos sarala alaped, sarala alaped, estamos sarala alaped, sarala alaped, estamos sarala alaped, a ver que se pega. Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Clint Initiative podcast. This is, in fact, our Bible bracket special. Well, that, of course, was the wrong file. This is the right one. Okay, and for all the people out there wondering what a Bible bracket is, I'm going to play the introduction to that. But first, I'm going to check in with our co-host who's here. The other one is running a little late, and Jamel, of course, won't be with us today. How's it going there, Katie?
Good. Thank you.
Are you having a good day?
Yes, I am. Yeah. How are you?
I am getting ready to go home to see the birth of my child. Did you notice that I changed our background up a little bit?
Yes, I did. I was like, oh, fancy you.
Yeah, I got tired of looking at that bland background, and I was thinking with this here, I can probably take the other one off the bottom, but that's still a work in progress like most of the things that we are doing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the introduction to what our Bible bracket is as an explanation for anyone who may be tuning in for the first time. So here that goes. What is a show Bible? A show Bible is a document that outlines the characters, plots, settings, and themes of a television series. Writers pitch show Bibles to network executives and production companies in the hopes that it will produce a production agreement. Well, with the Clint Initiative podcast, we do streaming content, we do movies, we do music. So, for our productions, we have a Bible. And that Bible will be previewed here on the show. Okay, and we've had 22 weeks of shows, and now we are getting ready to have an open call where people can come in and be a part of our productions. Of course, we don't do auditions, so I was thinking now that we have a space, the best way to get people to be hosts on the show and to be in our productions is to actually have them show up for an open call, which is not exactly an audition because how does it work with the Clinton Initiative podcast, Katie?
And there's no auditions.
Right.
Everybody's equal.
So if they show up, they become a part of our roster of talent. And then as we do productions and as we do the show, they have opportunities to participate. And once again, I'm going to say, this is our Bible bracket special. And before we start the rundown of the list of films that we have and other projects, I want to give Clint a little bit more time to show up before we start so we don't have to backtrack because we do have a lot of titles to go over. I'm just going to play this. Don't cost you nothing to hit that like. Don't cost you nothing. Go ahead. Subscribe. Don't cost you nothing. Yeah, to hit that like. Don't cost you nothing. Come on. Come on. Subscribe. Don't cost you nothing. Yeah, to hit that like. Don't cost you nothing. Go ahead. Subscribe, subscribe, don't cost you nothing. So hit that like and subscribe. Yeah, yeah. So hit that like and subscribe. Yeah, yeah. So just hit that like and subscribe. Just hit that like and subscribe, folks. And
The
Katie, the
notes
ground.
all the time.
Say again.
Said you hit the notes all the time.
I do? Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. So hit that like and subscribe.
Did
So
you see the new Alien?
the new Alien movie?
Yes.
No, I haven't. I was going to go and see that, but I just didn't find the time to go and see it. I'll probably see it once I go back to the Philippines. Unless it's still in theaters, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it still is. But when I watched it, I just thought of it reminded me of one of the Bible brackets that we were talking about, the one with the weapon.
Oh yeah. Where she gets the weapon and she wants to keep it. Finders, keepers, losers, weakers. Possession is 9/10 of the law. It's mine now.
Yes, yeah. I was like, oh, it's so good, so much action. It reminded me a lot of people I get the weapon from us, and then Clint's in there running, and we're all running, and then you have it, you just spraying people, so many stuff. So much
Well, of
stuff.
course, we won't have as big a budget, but I think that even on a small budget, you can make some really big budget looking effects. So here's the ground rules going into this, Katie. Since it's an open call, as I play each of the different titles, I want you to think about what you would ask if you were coming to an open call for any of these
Okay.
projects that I show. And then you can even say some things in Spanish. And when Clint comes, I'll give him the same rundown. But because we have quite a few titles, 22 plus, in fact, here's the first one. A person wakes up in a dark room and they know they're standing and they can feel that there are others in the room with them, but all they really hear is heavy breathing. All they hear is just movement and nothing's really happening. Everything's quiet. And then all of a sudden they start to hear noise outside. They start to hear gunfire. They start to hear all kinds of stuff. And then the door swings open and you see one of the minor characters from The Walking Dead and you realize You're a sentient zombie in a room full of zombies. And as the other zombies go out and are exterminated, you stand back. You stay back. And you're able to survive. So this film follows that first sentient zombie as it ventures out and starts to build their zombie army.
Okay, so it looks like Clint is here. And Clint, I already played the introduction to Sentient, and you already know what Sentient is all about. But what I want you to do is think in terms about open call and the questions that you would have if you were coming to an open call for any of these films.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'm just starting to settle myself in.
Okay. So, Katie, what are your thoughts on Sentient, and do you have any questions about it?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think we all really like the idea, and you could see it in our faces when you were describing it. Like we were so into it and listening to the story, and so it was really, mind catching. And I think what I would question is like how it would go about as far as like survival, as far as being a sentient, like going through the process. What would be the steps on how it would start? Like there just is. I guess there's so much things that we could, so many directions we could go. So how would it like? How would we start that up? Like it's just curious.
So, did you have any questions about Sentient, or did you want to see that introduction again, Clint?
I would like to see it because I didn't see it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play the introduction to Sentient one more time, and then I'm definitely going to answer your question, Katie.
A person wakes up in a dark room and they know they're standing and they can feel that there are others in the room with them, but all they really hear is heavy breathing. All they hear is just movement and nothing's really happening. Everything's quiet. Then all of a sudden they start to hear noise outside. They start to hear gunfire. They start to hear all kinds of stuff. And then the door swings open. And you see one of the minor characters from The Walking Dead, and you realize you're a sentient zombie in a room full of zombies. And as the other zombies go out and are exterminated, you stand back, you stay back, and you're able to survive. So this film follows that first sentient zombie as it ventures out and starts to build their zombie army.
Okay, so that was again the introduction for Sentient. Did you have any questions about that, Clint?
No questions really. It's rather interesting. It sort of like reminded me of a zombie film that I watched probably a couple of years back, which also had a interesting twist called I don't know if you guys have happened to see it. It's called Warm Bodies.
Yeah. But that was more of a comedy takeoff on the whole zombie thing. And although in this film there will be some funny moments, to answer your question more, Katie, the film starts off in that dark room where this person realizes finally that they are a sentient zombie. And one of the side effects of it is that the vibration or whatever they emit as a sentient zombie, that draws other zombies to that zombie. So it's not long before there's a big sentient army of zombies. And we don't know much about the zombie until they have that first encounter with humans. Well, that first encounter with humans that don't try to kill them all. So after a few close calls, when they have that first encounter with humans where they don't try to kill them, that's when the film finally starts to pick up and go from there. And it's a thrill ride for sure. Now, if you were coming to an open call, Clint, what kind of questions would you have about sentient?
I'll try to figure if it's. I might ask them if it's a comedy, if it's a comedy or horror. I want to find the
It's a
balance
mixture.
between it.
It's sort of a dramedy. It's sort of we want the zombies to be realistic, and we want their encounters to be realistic. But like everything in life, there are always moments of levity. There are always moments where you can throw a little bit of comedy in there. And when you got the living dead, there's always, especially when one of them can talk, come on. That first time that a zombie talks to a human, it's going to be a funny moment, along with a serious moment as well. So now, since we have a lot of titles, let's go to our next entry.
Now, the other one is called Maria Trout. We all know someone who has a unique name, but they don't have a personality that fits that name. Well, Maria Trout not only has a unique name, but she has a personality that fits. And she also has friends that are not, they don't have weird names, but they're friends that you would expect someone like Maria Trout to have as a friend. So as we get to explore Maria Trout, her unique life, and everything that's going on with just being a unique and special person, she gets the opportunity of a lifetime, and she takes all her friends along. We see the ups, we see the downs, we see the pitfalls of Maria Trout. Now, Maria Trout, I'm still trying to decide whether I want it to be sort of a YouTube star who hits it big, or Instagram, not an Instagram model, or maybe a reality kind of thing. But Maria Trout is a story where a normal person gets plucked from their life, and then as they become successful, people try to shape who they are, but not Maria Trout. She'll always be Maria Trout. You can't change that. And that's what the Maria Trout story is about.
So there is Maria Trout. So if you were coming to an open call for Maria Trout, what questions would you have? Clint.
Well, Maria Trout, I would like to know more about the character herself. Is considering her age range, specifically if, like, for example, if she's an internet star sensation, I would like to know more of her description, her age range. Is she a TikToker? I would like to know the type of friends that she got, if she got friends or frenemy. All those questions that I would like to throw to the casting directors and so on, and especially her ethnicity, her name, Maria Trout.
Okay, Katie, what about you?
I agree. I think the description is important. Like I would want to know exactly what is it that makes her stand out so much. Like what makes her so unique that she has that opportunity to become something bigger. Like I mean the name is very, is out there, is something that sticks. So what is it that makes her apart from others?
Okay, now, did you guys see the words on the screen where it talked about the Hawk Tour girl?
No.
Are you
Yes.
familiar with who that is?
I heard about a Hawk Tour girl, but what would a Hawk Tour?
She is
I heard about. Yeah.
Maria Trout in real life. She's a real life Maria Trout. She had that one moment and she blew up.
Okay.
She was talking about
Oh,
a sexual act, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to know more about the Hawk Tour girl. Why? Because it was about a sexual act. But sometimes, just like with Napoleon Dynamite, the thing that got people interested in that movie was the dance he had. So Maria Trout is going to have that personality along with the dance moves that people just want to know better. That's what Maria Trout is all about. And the Hawk Tuah girl is a perfect example of a Maria Trout. She's a Maria Trout before Maria Trout.
But that, okay.
Yeah.
But of
I
course,
don't
I
see.
came up with the idea long before the Hawk
I
Tuah
thought
girl showed
Maria
up.
Trout probably would have been someone with I don't know if she. I wasn't seeing her more like a 50-minute fame or
Right,
one hit wonder or anything like that. Hawk
right.
Tuah girl got no talent whatsoever. She just said Hawk Tuah. And
Yeah,
just become a
but that's
Literally.
just an example I was giving you
okay.
that sort of really shows that the story of Maria Trout is something that can and has happened and will continue to happen as long as social media exists. There will always be the social media superstars, and Maria Trout is definitely going to be a social media superstar. And when we have our open call, trust me, we will find our Maria Trout. And now, let's go to our next entry. Now, John Long. There's a thin line between love and hate. And there's an even thinner line between love and madness. And that's where John Long lies. It's all about a doctor, his wife, and John Long. So whenever you talk about relationships and whenever you talk about more than one person being involved, it used to be all about infidelity. It used to be, but now it's about what you do in a relationship and the boundaries of relationships and what's acceptable to some and what's acceptable to others. So that's John Long. John Long delves into that madness that comes when you push relationships beyond their boundaries. John Long is all about love, war, and the sausage. So, if you were coming to an open call, which questions would you have about John Long, Katie?
I guess I would want to know like what exactly his role would kind of be. Like if I know you say the relationship and pushing the boundaries, so is he more like is he still like a Mr. Still Your Girl type person or what exactly would his personality be? I'm seeing kind of like a strong headed person, so I guess that would be more my question.
Okay, and for you, Clint, which questions would you have if you were coming to an open call and John Long was on the agenda? What would your questions be?
I'll ask, why is his name John Long?
John Long gets all the ladies, and you can just tell from the background, which is wood, everything you need to know about John Long. I'll just put it that way. And when we have our open call, even though we already know who our John Long is, the doctor involved is a very crucial character because he's our primary narrator for the show, but he's not a faithful narrator. So you can't trust anything that he's saying. So it adds a bit of mystery and a lot more entertainment to John Long. In addition to John Long himself, a character that once you see him, you will never forget. Okay, on to our next production. Now, Habits is all about the things that we do in our lives on a daily basis that can have unintended consequences. For example, have any of you guys ever heard of popcorn lung?
We talked about that.
Yeah, there was a man who he would make microwave popcorn. And every day he would eat 2 bags of microwave popcorn. And whenever that popcorn came out of the microwave oven, Oh, he would breathe in those fumes. He really loved the smell of that microwave popcorn. He's that first asterisk in habits. You'll notice that between each letter there's an asterisk. Well, as a consequence of doing that over 10 years, he developed what's called popcorn lung, which normally only people who work in microwave popcorn factories get. But because of that habit, the unintended consequence was popcorn lung, and I believe he also developed a brain tumor. So habits is all about how the unintended consequences of the habits we have. Okay, so if you come into an open, I'm just going to add something to that, and that is that there are going to be 5 different habits that we actually profile in the film. 5 different people with 5 different habits that led to unintended consequences. And when we have the open call, it's going to be great because what we'll get to do is we will get to see people who will fit the habits that we will be profiling. Now, Katie, I'm going to come to you first. If you were to come to an open call for a film like Habits, what kind of habits do you think that they would cover?
Well, this one always gets my head a little bit stuck. But I mean, because I'm wondering if these habits are impacting them in a good way or a bad way. So I guess it would just say if you have a habit of I don't know, chewing your nails, that is a bad habit. So I mean, does this person chew it to the point where they're eating all the way down to the skin? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's hard to see where the habit would go. So I'm curious.
What about you, Clint? What kind of question would you have about a film like Habits if you were coming to an open call?
Oh, yeah, I would like to know what if we're going to just be dealing with sitting like just the popcorn long guy, the habit, or we're going to be dealing with other people who got good habits, bad habits, and so on. I would like to know where the film is going to, if it's going to show just one dimensional, like one person, or it's going to base on like several episodes of people with different types of habits, and how do you deal with it, or whether it's good or it's bad, how do you get over bad habits?
I'm just going to say that with the film Habits, we're going to delve into the good, the bad, and ultimately sometimes the ugly of habits. So it's basically going to cover the entire range depending on the habits we profile. Biting nails is a good one, Katie, because that can lend itself to so many things. A person biting their nail down to the nub and discovering that they like the taste of human flesh.
Oh,
And eventually they want to move beyond the taste of their own flesh. That's a nasty habit.
oh,
That's
that's good.
that's not a habit. That person is possessed.
No, that person has a habit that led to something that they weren't. It's an unintended consequence of a habit. Right now, we're going to discuss grave decisions.
It looks like somebody died there.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen those roadside grave markers.
Yeah, seen them a lot in movies.
Yeah, you see them a lot, but you're driving along, you'll see these roadside markers of where tragedies have happened, where people have died, and Roman is driving along, and he sees one of those roadside grave markers, and from the moment that he sees it, he can't erase it from his mind. He just keeps thinking about it and thinking about it, and he knows he has to go back to that roadside grave marker. He knows he has to go back. It's just he's compelled to do it. So he goes back to that roadside grave marker, and basically he gets he's talking to a woman there who is actually the one who that grave marker is for. And in conversation, he realizes that. And then she gives him a mission, something he has to do, because she can't rest until the person that caused that grave marker to be there is actually brought to justice. Okay? So that's grave decisions. Yeah. And one thing I wanted to add to that is the person that actually caused that woman to be killed is featured in another film we have called Cross Country that didn't make the cut in our Bible bracket, but it doesn't mean that we won't actually produce that film, especially because it has a connection to grave decisions. So, Clint, if you were coming to an open call and you wanted to be in grave decisions, what kind of questions would you have?
Well, I would like to know if this is going to be a supernatural that is on the thriller or horror side, or it's going to be lighthearted.
Okay, and for you, Katie, what questions would you have about grave decisions?
I guess I would want to know what draws him so much to go back and start, bringing this person to justice. Does he have some kind of tie to it? Has something similar? Maybe a family member has died on the side of the road or something. Like what exactly is it that draws him to go back?
And that is, as Clint hinted, partially the supernatural part of it. The woman who died is reaching out and reaching out. Her spirit is reaching out. And most people aren't attuned to her vibration at all. They just pass by and they look at it for a second and they don't give it another thought. The act of him glancing at it and it being stuck in his mind gave her access. And she was able to influence him and she was able to bring him back so that then she could send him on the mission to find out who actually took her life. And in the film, we dig a little deeper into that. But on top of that, it's also a thriller. It's a search for a killer. It's a search, and if you're searching for a killer and there's a grave marker, where do you start? Well, first you start by going to the officers investigating her murder. And then what happens if when you go to them, because you're asking questions, suddenly you become a suspect.
Mm.
So then the story gets a little more complicated, especially because of the premise of Cross Country. It becomes a little bit more complicated, but it becomes simple as well because of the way we are all interconnected these days because of the internet and because of social media. So now I'm going to go on to unless somebody has another question, if you have anything to add, Clint. If not, I'm going to go on to now. The next film idea is called Just Once. Just Once. How many times in your life have you done something just once and you'll say, well, okay, that was fun, but I'm not doing that anymore. You come along, you do something, you do it just once, and you say, hey, I'm never going to do that again. It was okay once, but it's just not my thing. Well, just imagine if that one time you did something, not only was it caught on film, it went viral. And now millions of people have seen you do that one thing that you decided you're never going to go do again, but now it's viral. Millions of people have seen it. And every time you go out, you're confronted with the thing that you did just once. And trust me, we won't be playing the song just once when we do the movie. Okay, so with Just Once is in the Maria Trout universe. I'll tell you that to begin with. Maria Trout and Just Once are in the same cinematic universe. So many of the things that are covered in Maria Trout, Just Once takes it just that step further, and it dwells more on some of the negative impacts, whereas Maria Trout focuses more on one person overcoming some of the more negative aspects of social media and being a social media superstar or that attention. And then the third film will cover another aspect, which I won't spill right now, but it'll be an interesting trilogy. Now, if you were coming to an open call for Maria Trout, for Just Once, what kind of questions would you have, Katie?
Obviously, I'm wondering what it is that he does just once, but I'm wondering how it will impact his life. Like this thing that he does just once, is it something that is gonna put him in danger? Or is it something that's gonna have a good impact and bring him like Maria Trout? Is it something that's gonna make him famous, or curiosidad?
And for you, Clint, what questions would you have about Just Once?
I just would like to know more about the character, what involvement he or she has gotten into to do at least something that is probably that they're not supposed to do, that is just once. Because I'm seeing it where it could go anywhere. What he did or what they done just once? Is it like, okay, they were under peer pressure, they tried drugs, what?
Here's
Was it an addiction?
Here's what I want you to think about before we go on to the next one. What he does is something that everybody does, but no one would want anyone to catch them doing it. And he gets caught doing it. Now that covers a wide range of things. Just let your imagination run free while I remind people that yes, this is the Clint Initiative Podcast Bible Bracket Special. We just discussed Just Once, where a guy does something that everybody does, and suddenly he's exposed all over social media. How do you deal with that? Now we come to our next production. I Hate Camping. Campground murders don't just happen. Oscar knew he was in the wrong place from the beginning. And then as things started happening, he just knew he had to get away. And he didn't mean going camping, but he certainly had to get away from where he was. Anybody here ever been dragged to a camping thing before? Imagine being dragged to a camping event and then a zombie apocalypse breaks out. This is I Hate Camping is, of course, it's in the same universe as Sentient. So in I Hate Camping, they're at a campsite that the zombies in Sentient eventually take over. There was a murder at that campsite even before the zombie apocalypse, and that's how they discovered that there is a zombie apocalypse. A little too late, though. Now, if you were coming to an open call for I Hate Camping, what kind of questions would you have? I'm going to go to Clint first. Which kind of questions would you have?
If I'm going to a casting call and I have to audition, let's say for a role for I Hate Camping, I would want to know if it's a comedy or horror, because it's so I would know what character, how to get into the character, the personality of the character in the film, the movie to be I Hate Camping. So I would want to know the genre of the film, if it's more into the comedy side or horror side.
Okay, and what about you, Katie? If you were coming to an open call and you saw this list of films and you just looked at I Hate Camping, what would be your thoughts about it? What would be your questions?
Well, I kind of have two of them because you say it's kind of like sentient. So is this a start? Is this where it all begins on how the zombie starts? And are they in like a camping tent or in a camper?
They are actually at an actual campsite where there's a
Like,
mixture of RVs, structures,
oh,
and RV structures and tents.
mm,
So in this campsite, yes, you could watch I Hate Camping and then watch Sentient and never miss a beat because um, in a open call for Sentient, we want characters that people, based on their personalities, we just want to see them get killed. And then there are other characters that we want to see survive, especially the ultimate character who does survive, who then meets the sentient zombie from Sentient. So the last person who survives I Hate Camping will meet the sentient zombie in Sentient. And it's going to be a female. So that is I Hate Camping. And of course, we're not going to get through everything on this list. So next week, we're probably going to have another Bible bracket special. Now, the next film in our line is.
I know which one rising to the top already.
Okay. Sisters is a film about this young lady who, for 10 years, she has been trying to save her friend. She's stuck in another dimension and she's been trying to save her friend because she knows her friend is going to be killed by her boyfriend. And so, because she knows, she keeps trying to save her and she fails each time. But finally, with help, she's able to actually save her friend. But in saving her friend, there is a price to be paid. And we get to see them struggle with what they have to do just because she wanted to save her friend. Okay, so sisters, just to add a little bit more, imagine that you are trying to save someone that you really, truly love. And every time you try, it just fails. What would you give up, or what would you be willing to give up to save that person? That is what Sisters is all about. Her being able to save her friend comes at a very high price, an interdimensional high price. So, what questions would you have if you were coming and you saw the film Sisters? What question would you have about it?
I guess if is it like is it future and past dimensions? Like, is she going in the past or going in the future to prevent the death? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, is it something that each time that she goes to this dimension, does it have a ripple effect? Does something else happen to where when she has to start over again, something's different each time? I guess.
So what do you think, Clint? Do you have any questions?
The only thing I might ask is considering what is the high price does she have to pay in order to save her friend? Because
Well, let me put it this way, and then I'll go to the next production because our time is running short for this first installment. Basically, they're in a space that is
I'll keep
between time. It's between time. So time does not advance in that space between time.
Mhm.
Now, that space between time has a very specific set of rules, and it's run by people who enforce those rules. Based on their proclivities, they will allow people to break the rules. And their price for letting people do that is sometimes way too high. And the star of the film who goes and saves her friend, along with her friend, they are out to not fulfill the promise, but to overthrow them so that they don't have to fulfill the promise. So it's a very action-oriented film. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's action-packed and it's a lot of fun as well. And it's a lot of about friendship and the reconnecting and how that friendship, even time, cannot overcome or defeat friendship. That kind of love is something that even love can't defeat. Friendship sometimes is greater than love. And it's amazing that people will be willing to give up everything for a friend. Things that they probably wouldn't even give up for the person that they love. So it's all about the power of friendship.
Mm.
And now on to our next production. Holiday High, Home for the Holidays. We never did a introduction for this film because this is one of our bracket jumpers. There are some films that when the idea comes to me, I just know that we're going to do it. Holiday High is one of those films. What happens in Holiday High is that our main character is coming home from jail. He was actually arrested on a possession charge for marijuana. Nowadays, marijuana is legal everywhere, and he's just amazed when he comes home that even his friend is working at a shop that sells marijuana. Things have changed a lot. So, as a welcome home gift, his friend gives him some marijuana gummies, some special marijuana gummies. He takes those home with him, and unfortunately, his mom, who has never dealt with drugs of any kind, gets a hold of his gummies. And we never know whether she did it on purpose or whether it was accidental, but she has herself a holiday high. Woo! So that is Holiday High. Any questions? Now, if you were coming to an open call and Holiday High was on the agenda, what would your questions be, Clint? I got to go to you first.
To me, the whole story, it gives me everything that I need. I wouldn't have much question other than to ask that the holiday high, is it going to be like a funny Christmas family movie? Apart from that, that's it.
Absolutely. And you, Katie, what questions would you have about Holiday High?
It's the same. Like the questions that I have is something that will spoil it, so it's hard to. But I'm trying to figure out how she will even consume it. So it's like, I don't know.
You know, gummies, you just eat them. She ate the gummies.
Yeah, I know, but how does she get it? Like, does he like, hey, you want some candy and not tell her? Or does she like know and then, oh yeah,
Well,
sure.
well, here's a little bit of a hint.
She's just damn greedy.
Here's a little bit of a hint.
It's candy, huh?
Here's a little bit of a hint. There's two brothers and a sister, and of course a mother and a father. The two brothers are always butting heads. And the brother knows that his friend gave him those gummies. So he confronts him about it, And when he confronts him about it, you just got out of jail and now you just want to cause more problem. What's your problem? The gummies fall out of his pocket. So now his mom sees these gummies and she has a sweet tooth. So she grabs the gummies not knowing that they're marijuana gummies. She doesn't know.
Oh.
She eats one. She eats two. Now, before she can get to the third, she gets stopped. Hey, Jay, what's up, man? I didn't think you'd be able to be here today. We just got finished talking about Holiday High.
Nice. Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Hi.
So if you were coming to an open call for Holiday High, what kind of questions would you have, Jamel?
That could go in many different directions, depending on, I guess, for one of them, like, we actually have to get high.
No. And that's the thing about it. When the mom gets high, that's going to be some of the greatest acting you have ever seen. Because when she gets high, we're going to have to choreograph that carefully. Because it's going to be, the whole film is going to be a holiday film. It's going to be upbeat. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be something where everybody's going to have a good time. But of course, the mom with the gummies is going to have the funnest time. And now, the last one for this first half of our special, and I'm going to play that again. And now here is the last film of this first half of the Clint Initiative Podcast Bible Bracket Special. The next story is 9/10, or AKA The Wrong Hands. Now with 9/10, a woman finds an alien weapon capable of destroying universes. And when the aliens come to get it from her, she refuses to give it back because possession is 9/10 of the law. Now, in addition to the aliens wanting to get it back from her, there are other aliens who want to get it because there are two warring factions. They're so busy fighting each other, she's able to slip away and hold on to the weapon while they go after her trying to get it back. And along the way, we get to learn a lot about the aliens. We get to learn a lot about the young lady, and we get to see some interesting action scenes. So, you really love the idea, Katie. So, if you were coming to an open call and that was on the agenda, what kind of questions would you have about the film, Katie?
I guess I'd be curious to what kind of weapon it would be. Like, is it more like a gun type weapon, or is it like one of those Halo type weapons where it's like, the big blades and stuff? Like, I don't know. I'm excited about that one. So.
Not a problem. And what questions would you have there, Clint?
I would want to know, why is she so reluctant in giving these green, ugly-looking men back the gun? Because in my position, if I see some green man come down and say, hey, that's my weapon I want, I'll say, yeah, sure, thanks, take it. I want to know why she want to hold on to it. That's all. I'll give them it back. Take it. Yeah.
You never know, that technology could strike her to be a billionaire or a trillionaire with what's going on.
I don't think enough money wouldn't cover my safety like that. Seeing these things.
Who says aliens are green? Who says aliens are green?
And that's the amazing thing about it. Have you guys seen the Men in Black?
Yes.
You remember that weapon in Men in Black, that cricket? It was a very small weapon called a cricket, but it had a lot of power.
Oh, yeah. When he pulled out that little bitty gun, he was like, what's this? He was like, here, take that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
what?
She
And then
likes the way it looks.
when he
Clint.
shot it, it gave so much kickback, he flew.
Yeah.
It looks like a brooch or something that would be pretty to wear. She even wears it to a party in one scene in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ooh.
it's an action-packed film, but it's also funny. And she realizes the power that it has, but she just likes the way it looks, and she wants to keep it. It's like if somebody gave you a brooch or something, you'd want to hold on to it.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay, so that is the first half of our Bible bracket special. Next week we'll have the second half, and hopefully Jamel will be able to be in-house for that. And what I'm going to do now, once I can get to where I need to be, I'm going to start up our music. Now you may ask yourself, why am I starting up the music? Well, I am starting up the music because this is where each of our co-hosts will get a chance to have their final words for this first of two parts of our Bible bracket special. And I'm going to go to the man who is at work, that working actor we call Jay or Jamel. What are your final words to the audience?
Thank you, everyone. I do apologize for not being on the actual show today, but I was still able to, get in here what I can, ready for the show. So thank you. Continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our page and our podcast and continue to help us grow. I want to say my final words are, be you. Don't let others dictate how they want you to be. Just be yourself, believe in yourself, and everything will be all right.
Awesome. And we look forward to having you next week with us there, Jamel and Clint. What are your final words to the audience?
First of all, I'd like to tell you all thank you so much for having us at your home. Thank you for being patient with us, and we are always happy to put smiles and entertain you guys. What I would like to say to you all is that do not be in despair, do not be dismayed, because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Have a blessed day, guys.
Okay, and Katie, it's your turn now. What are your final words to our audience?
Well, I just want to say the Bible brackets, by the way, have been, I think now that we've been reviewing every single one, has been amazing. Each idea. So good job to that. And I hope that you guys enjoyed every single one. At least one of them, I'm sure, caught attention. So just stay tuned. Look forward to more. Thank you for watching. Gracias por vernos. Y ojalá que le gustaron todos los filmes que le dieron. A mí me encantaron todos. So I hope you guys enjoy every moment. And thank you so much.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about next time on the Clint Initiative podcast. We have so many more ideas that we're going to cover in the second half of our Bible bracket special. And yeah, I just like playing. Now, after our Bible bracket special, the next thing that will be coming up is we will have another Jamel's Jam coming up. I'm hoping that we will have another Trinidad takeover, because we're hanging. You left us hanging there. We just need more, Clint. We need more. And then finally, of course, Minnesota Swim Week. I'm going to go ahead and have the final edit of that, along with the model showcase that Katie was a part of. And the last thing I'll mention is on the 18th, the 7th annual Black and White Attire event will be happening. Jamel will be in it, And I will be in there capturing it all using a brand new mode of filming and a device that Jamel gave me. We'll be using that. So it's going to have a unique and special look that I hope everyone will tune in to capture. So with that, it's time for our stream to come to an end. Thank you all for coming to this first Bible Bracket special. It continues next week.